I am coming at ya from Tokyo. It is, yeah, 10:15. Hope everyone's doing well. I am doing better than I was all of last week. And of course, as I start recording, my dog gets excited and wants to walk through. Do you want to go? Okay, try not to knock over anything. Go. Go. No, no. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started. I don't know what's gonna happen. If things start shaking and moving around, that's my dog. He's kind of in an obstacle course at the moment. All right, so yeah, I thought I would be able to attend at at max. I would be attending 3 shows, and it turned out that I only attended one. The first, very unfortunately, and one that I had waited for and had a ticket for was for Club Cheetah. Excuse me. November 1st, Saturday, Record no Hi, Record Day. Um, yeah, I knew that that day would be the day that Bambi would be playing all the tracks off their new EP. I was excited to hear it all live for the first time, and it's kind of been a while. I was also unable to attend their show at Toyosu Pit a few months back. This was right before my surgery, and just because of my foot, it was just better not to go. This time around, kind of had no choice again. My body just I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, so that was very unfortunate, but thankfully on Sunday, yesterday, November 2nd, what's going on, Rich? Good to see you. Sunday, I was able to attend a show that I really want to see as well, which was another liner show at Shinjuku Antiknock. Um, if any of you actually do, hey, what's going on? If any of you do actually do anything on Twitter X, I know some of you are reluctant to. Um, like one of the things that I did, what I noticed particularly when Musk took over and turned Twitter into X, I started getting a lot more political stuff. So then I started just blocking nonstop. And because of that, blocking like hundreds and hundreds of stuff I just did not ask for, it helped to clear up like a lot of the Twitter sphere. Um, and because of that, I was able to get more of just the feeds that I wanted, more or less. But anyhow, for those of you who do want like really, what's going on, Chris? Who really do want a good idea of what's happening in Tokyo, more than anywhere else, I would say, more than YouTube, more than Instagram, more than TikTok, more than Facebook, more than anywhere else. The best place to get all the latest updates and stuff is to actually be on Twitter/X. So that's my recommendation. And for those of you who do follow, Liner is a show that happens at Shinjuku Antiknock. I'm not exactly sure who sponsors it all, to be honest. But last night was quite a humdinger. It was a pretty big deal. Like the minute it went out, it was like, oh man, this is big. So it was Bridear, Little Lilith, and Paleneø. Um, Bridear has been around the longest, since what 2012, more or less, from Fukuoka, and then Little Lilith. I don't know. I don't quite know their humble beginnings. They've been around for a bit too. They changed up their look. They changed up their style. They changed up their lineup. And then Paleneø is of course the youngest, but it's going on. But by no means is Paleneø the least of the three. I've mentioned previous times and predicted and just said to keep your eyes on them. And it really seems like they haven't slowed down. They've definitely just sort of been on this upward trajectory. And I still look forward to what will become of Paleneø in the long run. We'll see how well their management does things. Their music video seems to be doing really well. They put out quite a few over the past couple of years. Thankfully, they've got a management that believes in them, that is putting money there for them. So they've been able to put out music videos, and they've been making good on what investment has been put into them. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't feeling well, so I had my mask on. Ah, okay, so you haven't seen them. Interesting. So because I still wasn't fully recovered, I had my mask on. Um, I was very subdued, Peter. In no way was I talky, was I social, was I like mingling and schmoozing, none of that stuff. I just had my mask on and just got to the venue about maybe 15 minutes before the show started, or before its doors opened, which is at 5:30. So I got there about 5:15 or so. Quietly lined up. I was number 108 out of a sold out. The capacity I was told is 300 at Shinjuku Antiknock, but because of the merch tables in the back, that would be reduced maybe 250, between 250 and 300, but I wouldn't quite say 300. And it's funny when when you hear sold out, like you're pretty thrilled about that for the bands, but sold out also means like being kind of squeezed in like sardines. And so I was happy about the sold out status, but I was also a bit wary about it and how things would go down. And things kind of turned out more or less as expected. And things happened to me during the show that I probably would have preferred. Yeah, I think that's probably the second or third time I've seen Shinjuku Antiknock that packed. There was another show that had Paleneø there. I forgot who else was there. Maybe it was Lumerize, that felt about that packed. Maybe it was less, but about that packed. But I don't think I've ever been to a full-on sold out show at Antiknock. So um, it was delightful. It was delightful. Uh, okay, let's see. How should we do this? Well, let me just post photos before I forget, or show photos. Let's see. So little Lilith, they attended. They performed like each band had 45 minutes, which is not bad. When you're used to going to all these shows, 45 minutes is actually pretty lengthy for almost any band, just about any band, especially for those who aren't used to doing one-mans. But all three of these bands are used to doing one-mans. Little Lilith has done them quite a few times. Bridear has. Paleneø has been doing this full-on like Japan tour. So who's in the thumbnail between Yuki and Natsumi? There's one other drummer that was there that night. So if you can guess who that is, or if you don't know, I will tell you soon. So Little Lilith was there. They had 9 songs: Zero, Gun Bullet, Graffiti, Blessing. Oh no, they spelled Blessing wrong. Blessing is a new track off of their new album. Let's see here. They're passing out flyers. So I know this is backwards, unfortunately. This is flipped around. But Little Lilith, the album is called Ruin. And Blessing, they said, was their first ballad. It's good. I really, really like it. Yeah, I really, really like it. I think it'll be out soon. I would imagine maybe a music video as well. Yes, thank you, Chris. Great song. I really enjoyed it. And yes, I will get into them second, because the setup was Bridear first, then it was Little Lilith, and then Paleneø at the end. So, but this is their album. It is being released December 10th. So I've been enjoying the stuff that I've heard, and there's one song that I did hear last night for the first time called Devoured Hope. Very dark and moody that I enjoyed quite a bit. So let's look at just a few more photos. So here's Erica, did a great job. Ayumi and Erica, these two are friends. So that's cool. Like, I'm very happy when I see, again, these amusing musicians as friends. And these two, seeing Ayumi with Sally previous day, they went out together. So they're definitely on my list of people to meet up with in interview. The two bassists, Haru and Shiori, Bridear, Little Lilith. Let's see. Then you have Haru and Yona, who plays the 7-string bass for Paleneø. Very, very few out there, but they're out there. So she's a petite little thing too. Okay, let's see. Natsumi. So this is the picture that was spoken of. It is Yuki, Chiho, and then it is Natsumi. So Chiho is the support drummer for Paleneø. She's been with them for quite a bit now. And when I first saw Chiho, she was actually playing support for Bad Bubble, which is the band that the Frail used to be. And I noticed that she was quite a powerful drummer. She brought a lot more oomph and just a heavier rock sound. And she does the same for Paleneø. Great drummer, great drummer. So yeah, Yuki, Chiho, and Natsumi, all incredible drummers, all with very particular styles. And last night, as I was listening to Yuki play, I was like, oh yeah, she's definitely got her own thing, which is really cool to hear and see. And then Yuki and Natsumi. So it's good to see them. Then you have Ayari and Ayumi. Yeah, two different generations for sure. There's definitely a difference in age. There's difference in style. You guys should know who I prefer. But Ayari, I think, is a growing guitarist, and I think she will eventually make a name for herself as well. Okay, and let's see who else. Oh, this was a little performance, a little bit of it from last night. Let me actually turn on the speaker. Let's see. She's not a very flamboyant guitarist. Yeah. I will say that I think in terms of performance, Paleneø, they're fairly subdued. The only person who really does like kind of goes at it, I would say, is Hohomi. And even Hohomi, how do I explain it? It's not crazy. Like I think I enjoy those who are a bit more emotive, a bit more expressive. But there's this strength that Hohomi has when she performs, and I'll explain that more later on. It's quite something else. Okay, and then it is Kimi and it is Hohomi. And interestingly enough, Hohomi actually has a little pendant. It's actually a little keychain, a key holder, with Kimi's face on it, and she was wearing it like a pendant, which is pretty funny. And apparently she wore it home that way. And then, yeah, Bridear as a 4-piece. This is the second time I've heard them as a 4-piece. The first time was at Mosaic a few months back. Then I was up right in front of Ayumi. Last night I was about five rows deep from the front, which still wasn't bad, but it has its perks and not so perks, if that even makes sense. Okay. All right, and there's another show coming up. for Christmas. Before I get into the show, Christmas. Exist Trace, Hone Your Sense, Bridear, Unveil Rays, and then Amagoy, which are quite different bands. The styles are quite different for Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which is something else that is held at Antiknock quite a bit. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, I'm gonna be applying for that one. The tickets will be available tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So I set my alarm for that. Okay, so let's get into it. Sorry, hopefully they didn't take too long. So as I mentioned, it was sold out. It was packed to the gills. You could feel it. I get in there. I see Gerard there. I see Alan Armour there. I see quite a few Japanese fans that I'm familiar with and that are familiar with me. I did go in. I was, up, of course, towards Ayumi's side. And then I was in a very like, okay, let's just enjoy the show as much as I can. I'm not fully recovered. Like I'm maybe like 60% there physically, but I'm like, okay, whatever I have, let's just be here and just enjoy the show. And then I thought I heard somebody kind of call in my direction. And then I ignored it because I thought, oh, maybe I'm just hearing wrong. And then the hand touched me and said, Peter. I was like, oh, and hey, what's going on? And I said hi to a gentleman who asked me, oh, you don't recognize me? You don't remember me? And he mentioned me being with a few foreigners from overseas. And he was referencing when Chris, David, Russ, Ooby Dooby, who else was there? Justin, I believe. I don't remember where exactly we met, and so my apologies. If you're watching this, I apologize. My memory's gotten worse. I've been attending a lot of shows, and so a lot of things just kind of swirl around more than they used to. Nothing is quite sure-footed and cemented as they used to be. So we talked for a little bit, but I really tried to keep myself from talking too much. I had my mask on and was just there for the show. So we're packed. I'm there. It is time for Bridear. Bridear is up first, and of course I'm excited. And other people are excited too. And there's a lot of people. And what happens at a show in Antiknock, if you are not familiar with the venue itself, there are two levels. Whatever you think of your memory, I'm by far worse. And then SJ is probably worse than me. I don't know how he survives day to day. So there's basically two levels. The second level is in the back. It's shorter by it's maybe a third of the floor. So 2/3 of the floor is the floor, and it's raised maybe about like a step up, and then a third of it, is the back. There's the mixer, all the PA stuff, merch tables. But whenever there's a show that's going on, and depending upon who is performing and how wild things get, you really want to avoid that middle section on the main floor. But it's Bridear, and with Bridear, there is no moshing going on. There is no crowd surfing, so there's no danger of that. There is the danger, though, of people pushing forward, which is what happened frequently. This is the second time I've mentioned that they performed without two guitarists. So I was used to the sound. I still prefer, of course, two guitars. It's fuller, and that's what the Bridear sound naturally, I think, is. And Ayumi can, of course, hold her own. And even because of that, actually, Haru ended up performing a solo on bass to kind of fill in for Moe not being there and Misaki not doing support Um, it was great. It was fun. Unfortunately, like because of how generally when there's less people, there's sort of like pockets and gaps through which you can kind of like see people better. Um, I had a hard time seeing people because there were so many. Even though I was kind of closer up, it was more packed. And so trying to catch glimpses of Ayumi here, seeing mostly Kimi, bits of Natsumi, and then like zero Haru, like zero over there, unless she came over to the other side, which she did once. So, I mean, it was great. It was heated. There was so much energy. People were going at it. Um, there was, for me, yes, for Hendrix was there. Hendrix was well, he was actually there enjoying the show over on Haru's side. Um, but unfortunately for me, um, there was a larger foreign individual, and I knew he was foreign or a non-Asian foreigner. He was white by color, and I assumed that he was American by appearance. He looked very American to me, wearing a sweatshirt, hoodie with shorts on. Um, and as a larger individual, and he happened to be behind me, I think it was his first time. It felt that way. It sounded that way. So a lot of the excitement came like over my head, with an arm being over my head quite often and like kind of on me. And then when the mad crush rush was being pushed forward, I felt him a lot. I felt a lot of him. And so there were points. There were points because again, I didn't quite have the energy or the strength. So I you're being crushed basically, but you can't go any more forward because there are people in front, but you still feel the pressure being pushed behind you. And then there were times where I'm like, okay, let's just go with it. But I didn't have the energy to kind of throw my hands up or to do anything about it. So I was basically kind of like sandwiched in with my hands down, and I was just being pressed up against somebody else with somebody else right behind me, and I'm just like I'm just enjoying the show. It's hard to explain, and I don't want it to sound um, uncomfortably sensual, because in no way was it a sensual experience for me, but it was a lot of me standing and then sort of trying to enjoy the show and headbang, and then there'd be a rush and I'd be pushed to the people in front of me, and then I would feel the weight, especially of this one guy and his body heat, and just this. So here I am, just like, yay, there's Ayumi. Yeah. Um, Gosh. Was it as bad as the other guy from Bridear? No, 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 no. Although he was actually a couple of rows in front of me. Um, that individual who I don't think I'll ever want to name. When I see him, I'm not embarrassed anymore. I mean, we had a moment, and but yeah, there was no chafing, there was no lotion required, there was no like back pain. It was just this weight. Just this weight. So I'm just kind of in the middle, like being sandwiched and just being pressed. Um, yeah, I didn't try to fight back too much. Again, I was just didn't have the strength for that. But just enjoyed the show. So that was that. That was that. But great seeing Bridear again, as much as I could see of them. And I mean, I will say, because it is a packed venue, and I mean, that is part of the experience, and you kind of have to expect it, especially if you want to be close to the band, that stuff will happen. Um, so what can I say? It was distracting, and I had my suspicions confirmed about the individual behind me being confirmed, being American confirmed, when at the end of the show, I just heard a fuck yeah. And I was like, that's a very American. That's a very, very American fuck yeah. Like, it was so American. And if you're watching this, um, no harm done. I'm not, like making fun of you or anything. I appreciate the energy. I'm an American as well. So, so that was Bridear, the first 45 minutes. They did get on stage a bit late. I don't know what was going on with the sound, but yeah, they sounded great. Enjoyed the show. And then yeah, 15 minutes for them to get off set, Little Lilith to go up. Next up, I decided I would go back to the front, but be off to the side near where the speakers are. Because basically, right where the speakers are on the side, and there's usually, like people's bags and stuff. But it can be a bit open. People don't actually go right in front of the speaker if they don't have to. And I think some people either left or they stayed outside. But there were less, it felt like there were less people in there when Little Lilith went up, just a little bit less. So I enjoyed the show fine. There were no issues. Besides some, there was a bit of, because it's kind of like this Bridear. There's no moshing that happens. There's no crowd surfing. There's no diving. So that was fine. Little Lilith is a band where there's some energy and momentum in that respect, where there is a bit more physical activity going on among the fans. So there may be a bit more jumping and like running around a little bit of moshing. And then Paleneø, I was surprised. Their fans leveled up, and not necessarily in a way that I particularly like. But for some people, they love it. And for those who love it, that's great, but it is not exactly my thing. And I will describe the level up. So with Little Lilith, I expected them to be more animated, the fans anyway, so I stayed all far on the side. They did great. One of the things that I noticed for Little Lilith, I was really paying attention to Yuki, and the reason why is that Little Lilith was the very first band that I saw, along with Risky Melody and a band called Maze, an alt idol group, with Michael Barber back in January of 2023. This was right before TGT, the first time for Bandmade. That's where I first met Hiro Tajima of J-Rock Tours. And I remember I didn't love Little Lilith, but I did remember that the drums did stand out. And I was trying to remember what it was about it. And with Yuki, she actually does some pretty intricate, detailed stuff with her bass drum and the snare. So if you get a chance to listen to Little Lilith's stuff, just listen carefully to what Yuki does with her bass. There's a bit more involvement. There's definitely like thought put behind what she does. So, but she has a very particular sound for me on that bass, and then what she does with all the other drums. But it's really good. So she stood out for me. I was just paying attention. Lily she's got a crazy death voice. Like, she's really got a crazy death voice. Lily has such a very sort of, she has a thinner singing voice than a lot of other singers, I think. You would never call her someone who like a belter, somebody like Aya from Whiskey Dust or Chomo from Fill It Up. Nothing like that, but her death voice, there's something about it that's something very primal and very I can't explain it. It comes at you like full force. It's powerful, and there's a huge contrast between her singing voice and then that death voice. So, but that really stood out to me last night as well. But another thing was that she's, from the last time that I saw her, because I saw Little Lilith like 3 times back to back to back, like week to week to week, for 3 weeks straight back in May, and I did photos for them too. Um, but this time around, Lily's became more, how would you say? She became more dramatic, a little bit more performative. Like there was things that she was doing with her hand, with her mic, the way she was sort of like looking out. Um, she seemed to sort of be getting lost in a moment, and even just mouthing things on her own. Um, so I don't know if that's sort of something that she's taken on as part of her stage act these days, if it's something that's momentary. But it was cool. It was a new addition to something that I haven't seen before, even though I've seen Little Lilith now a fair number of times. But yeah, it was really good to see them. I do think their song Retribution is really good. There's a music video for it out right now. Their new song Blessing that they just sang yesterday was great. They do have a trailer for it. I posted it on MNN Shorts if you want to check it out. It's also available, I'm sure. I'm sure there's something on their YouTube channel as well as on their Twitter and most likely on their Instagram as well. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And the crowd did get going, and you could feel sort of people pushing this way, but no damage. And then they wrapped up their set. It was time for Paleneø, and I knew what kind of crowd was going to come in. There are certain faces, certain people I already know from previous shows. I'm like, okay, these guys, I don't want to say troublemakers, right? It's a concert, but these guys are sort of quote unquote the troublemakers. These are the people who will rush and push and jump and do any number of gymnastics all over the place. So, and then also when I was off on this side, that American individual came over and stood on this side. And just from my previous experience, I decided to not be in that area. So I moved over to the other side, where Ryoto is. Because there's Ryoto, she's the main composer for Paleneø. And then Ayari and Yona are on this side. So I was like, yeah, I haven't been on Ryoto's side, I think, the past couple of times. So I said, why not? So I switched sides. And my first time seeing Paleneø in their new outfits, looked cool. Hohomi in particular, the lead singer, she looks like Assassin's Creed. I always think of that when I look at her outfit. Kind of monkish, kind of priestess, holy woman quality type of thing going on. But yeah, they came out and they got right into it. Fantastic stuff. Paleneø does seem to continually level up. They do seem to continually just up their game, and not even necessarily, because again, like performance-wise, no one in the band except maybe Hohomi, and I think Chiho in the back gets down. She has a lot of fun, but Ayari, if you see her perform, she's not like a thrill. How do I explain it? Like you would never call her sort of an exhibitionist, you know? There's certain people who perform and they're like playing to the crowd, but there's certain who just sort of play. And so there's no one in terms of the members, which is sort of interesting. None of the members really quite individually have this like full-on outgoing personality where they sort of jump out at you and they're playing to the crowd all the time. Like there's no one quite like that. But Hohomi, I've always said every time I see Paleneø, she's the one that impresses me the most every time, because she's sort of really developed a stature of being a true front person, true front woman. And it holds true, and it held true last night. But it was interesting because this time around when she was singing, what I find very interesting is that it was like Mm, there's certain people who get on stage and they tell you, without even saying it, they tell you that it is now their stage, that they own what is in front of them or what was in front of you, basically. Um, and they can show that in different ways. And what I noticed from the previous time to this time with Hohomi in particular is that she had a very like, I don't know if queen, if just owner, if just like this shit is mine. But like when she would look out into the crowd at people and she was singing, there was this look in her eyes like, yeah, I know. This confidence, which is something that is great for a lead singer, for a front person. And I don't know if it would be arrogance. It's not arrogance, but there's like this really just like this quiet confidence, like, yeah, this is ours. Like, this is our time, you know? And she was just seeing what like Paleneø was creating. Um, it's cool. It's cool. I can't quite explain it fully, and I don't think I've done it justice with what I'm saying now. But I will say that I am impressed with Hohomi quite a bit. Um, and I was really happy to hear Hallelujah. I think this is the first time Hallelujah I heard live, which is one of my favorite songs from them, especially with the way the melody just like soars and the way that Hohomi performs it. So that was really cool. Um, the crowd was, yeah, I mean, gosh, how do I explain? I mean, I don't consider myself to be an old fogey, but at the same time, I try to be respectful. And I'll say this, the most respectful crowd surfing, stage diving, moshing group amongst the metalcore scene that I've seen is from Dim Rays. When I think of Dim Rays fans and how they mosh and how they go at it with each other and how they again like stage dive and how they crowd surf, it's very friendly, it's very fun. There's never this feeling of violence. um, on the other spectrum, from what I've seen from bands that maybe you guys are familiar with, is Launcher Number 8. My one-time experience with Launcher Number 8 at Antiknock, and just sort of like the almost intentional desire to inflict pain on people, um, or just the complete indifference or lack of care for inflicting harm, was very apparent that night when I saw that. And that was a first for me, with that kind of crowd. And then in the middle, I would say, is Paleneø. With Paleneø, it has the crowd culture that's been created. Um, it's risen in terms of the boisterousness, in terms of the playfulness, but almost like we don't give a shit about anyone else except us having fun, like our crew and our crowd having fun. So I can't. How do I feel about that? I never want to be in the middle. That's all I want to say. Um, and Hohomi did at one point say, I'm glad you're having fun. Let's please remember to be careful and not to hurt anybody. So she did mention that. So I'll leave it at that. I enjoyed the show. I love seeing Paleneø. It's hard for me to fully enjoy a show when you're like constantly doing this, though, even when you're off on the side and like people are constantly kind of bringing the violence this way. So yeah, you want to be close to the action in terms of the music, but you don't necessarily want to be close to everything else that surrounds it, or that kind of is created because of that. And it does make me think about kind of culture, and I wonder if bands, because I was thinking about this. I don't think bands always know what kind of culture they're creating amongst their fans. I think that some do, and to an extent that they have control, and to an extent they're like, oh, this is cool. And then to an extent, it's out of their control, and they have, they have no control of that. They don't have control of what the fans decide to create on their own. So I had this experience with Bandmade. Um, there was a culture that I was a part of when I first uh, became a Bandmade fan, and that culture was based off of like our Facebook group, Bandmade Fans Cafe, which is where this channel really stemmed from because of my relationship with the admins and then with SJ and our interactions. And over the years, it's grown. So, this area and this culture, and then there was this area, whether it be with Discord or it be from the YouTube group or all these different things. And like any given culture and group, you find yourself drawn to one and acclimating yourself more nicely and sort of, just sort of resting in between this group rather than this group versus this group. And what I was wondering last night was, is this the kind of crowd, is this the kind of culture that Paleneø wanted and that they want? If it is, that's great. And if it's not, I wonder how they deal with that or how bands do deal with that. Because the reason why I'm saying this is, I will say this, if you have only listened to Paleneø's music, which I think is great, but their first song, their first single, Fly High, da, da, yeah, I think it's Fly High. That in no way is indicative of what happens in the crowd. Like, it's so pop, it's so light. But what it transforms into, which was sung as an encore last night, it becomes a beast. And I'm wondering if as a band, they had an idea, or if bands do have an idea, Sometimes they do, I think, depending upon what sort of genre you're in. But I'm just curious, again, like for those who have been to a show in Japan, there are certain moments in songs that fans know what to do. They'll huddle together, they'll do the two-step, they'll like throw their hands in, they'll start doing rock, paper, scissors, who knows, they'll do push-ups, who knows what they'll do, right? There's any number of different things that they'll do. They'll start doing yoga poses. But I'm really curious, like, who instigates what, and when is it in the ownership of the bands, and then when does it become in the ownership of the fans and then the culture that's created? Yeah, because, and the cultures change. Like when I was a part of Bandmade in a huge way, this isn't me bragging, I don't think I am, but I was a huge cultural instigator. I instigated a lot of stuff culturally amongst the Bandmade fans in Bandmade Fans Cafe because I was so active all the time and pushing stuff out there. And so I created something, and then things kind of, they sort of branch off and different people do different things, and then they start developing their groups and there's different cultures. I'm not a part of that culture anymore, and definitely not in the way that it used to be. And I'm okay with that, there was a time, and I enjoyed it, and I'm grateful for it, and I have no regrets, and I have so much reward from it. But in terms of like the bands now and what they're doing with their fans and what are they trying to create, sorry, this is a weird talk that we're kind of going into. I just kind of like went off on a tangent, but I just kind of find it fascinating. Like Baby Metal has their fans, Hawk Metal, he started off as a Baby Metal fan. Different people have their own sort of like fandom for certain bands and how it grows a certain culture how they sort of do certain things together, and it's just fascinating. Whether it's like at the show itself, or creating merch, or it's like having these meetings or these dinners or whatever else it is, the conversations. So I just find it all very interesting. So yeah, I personally um, don't fit in that Paleneø culture of that. Yeah, I'm definitely not a part of that. Like that's not who I am, and that's not where I fit in, and that's okay because I don't have to fit into everything, right? Nobody does. Nobody should. Um, but as far as the band itself, even again, when I don't consider themselves like the most like expressive or explosive performers, they've got their package set, and they've got their songs set, and it's become such a thing where people just know what to do. You know, people just know what to do. Hey, what's going on? Um, and I think that's pretty powerful when a band is able to create a culture within the fandom and within the shows themselves, and people just sort of know what to do and how to do things. Um, and the songs and the energy as a whole can create something. So yeah, it's really cool stuff. And I do think I've mentioned, I think many times whenever I have mentioned Ureoto, I do think she's a musical genius. I do think that she is in the direction of Kanami. Kanami is, to me personally, Kanami to me by far is like off the charts. Like she's something else. But Ryoto is in that direction, I would say, in terms of composing, her infusion of classical music, her ability. I don't know just exactly how much she does with the arrangements and production. I know she composes a lot of it, but her fingerprints are definitely on it, and she's very gifted, I would say. So I think Paleneø is a great band, even though I don't actually have any of their merch. Again, I don't feel myself fitting quite into their culture as a fan, but I love their music, and I do think they're an amazing band. So overall, um, fantastic show. I couldn't be fully into it because of where I was at physically and maybe mentally. Um, but I will say, if you do ever come to Japan, if you ever see Bridear, you will not be disappointed. If you ever see Little Lilith, I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you see Paleneø, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Um, yeah, it's interesting. They are different bands though. I would say Little Lilith and Paleneø are a little bit closer stylistically, but yeah, it's interesting. It was an interesting show, and it was an interesting like uh, compare and contrast of the bands, and not to like say one is better than the other, but just to see the differences and like the similarities. So yeah, that was a long-winded way of saying it was a fun show. It was an interesting show. It was a very physical show. And hey, what's going on? I'm actually not going to be around much longer. Just finished my talk. But thanks for joining, Lawrence. Um, yeah, so I was glad to be there. I was glad I could make it out. There was another show tonight where it was Hadichi, formerly known as Shoujo S. Let It Out Lydia was there tonight. So I was really excited about that because I haven't seen them in a while. Another band called Three Beat, and then a performer, Akane. But I just thought it was better for me to just sort of rest as much as I could before I go to work. So yeah, that was that. But Bridear has some more shows lined up. Gosh, who else? I can't go all into it. Oh, this is actually really fun, really cool thing for me is that I will be seeing Haku. for those that don't know, oh, yeah. For those that don't know Haku, they're that four-piece band that's notorious now, for covering that one. Do you know what I'm talking about? I, as well as millions of other people, really enjoyed that little clip and performance, and I'm quite excited to see them. So here, let me just play that one for you. I'm pretty sure most of you know, but I'll play it very quickly. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Oops. Yeah, so that is Haku, and it's cool because they are definitely a different band than the bands I usually go see, and that's exciting for me, to try to branch out just a bit and, enjoy and experience more of the music. That will be happening on the 24th because it's another holiday. It's a Monday. And there are other shows. Let's see. Shooting for Hades and Stereo Gang on the 29th. Eric, sorry, but maybe I won't be able to attend the Saiseiga One Man on the 30th because there's the Aya and Undying Words show. So I may actually be attending that one. I will contact you and let you know. There's of course Bandmade coming up, Tokyo Garden Theater, and yeah, other stuff. But I do have some interviews lined up. Yeah, I can tell you. So I do have an interview with Gungire lined up, an interview with Sally lined up, and then some other stuff just sort of floating around that I'll be letting you in on as time goes by. Okay? So I'll just leave it here with that. Any questions? Anything that I missed? Let's see. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, da-da-da-da. All right. Okay. No questions. Not too many people joined today. That's okay. That's not a problem. I still have to share what I saw, what I experienced. Yeah. Bridear as a four-piece. Let's see, I'll summarize. Bridear as a four-piece. It feels more Lifehouse. The five-piece feels a bit more like, 300 plus capacity kind of band. But yeah, I miss Moe. I miss seeing her playing. I miss the dual guitars, the Sukiyaki sisters. We'll love to see them together again, and I hope she's doing well. But they always put on a great show, and yeah, it's cool. It is really cool to see Bridear just out and about so much, especially compared to previous years. It was just like looking for a needle in a haystack for some of their shows. But with management changing and maybe with their goals as a band, I'm just happy to see them just like everywhere, just nonstop. It's great. I love seeing them active. Little Lilith, they do have a one man. If those of you who are coming to Japan will be here on December 28th. Winter break. You guys may want to check them out. They do put on a great show. They have great music. And it's a fun time. It's a fun time, for sure. I actually was walking out of the venue, and then it was Yuki and it was Lily who were passing out flyers. And then I kind of put my mask down just so that they would recognize me, but I don't want to talk because, who knows what I may end up giving to other people. So she was like, Lily was like, oh, I was like, oh, but I don't want to talk more because, I just want to be careful. And as a singer, I'm like, oh my God, no. So I felt really bad. I usually would be talking and saying all this stuff, like such a great job, and otsukaresama desu. And I was just like, hey. So that kind of sucked. Oh yeah, that's right, Love Bites. That should be cool. That's really cool. I should check out Love Bites sometime. One day I will. One day I will. Love Bites, Hanabiye. Who are some other big bands that I haven't yet seen? Trident is one. Well, Nemophila I've seen once, but I've never seen them at a one man. And then the one that I did want to go to, I couldn't because of my foot, I think, or I was sick. So, health. Gotta take care of myself. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the rest of the week. I hope you guys stay safe and be careful. Please don't get sick. It sucks. And I'm glad my dog is around to keep me company, but that's all he does is keep me company. And sometimes you need somebody to like go out and just get stuff for you. Right? So, all right, guys, thanks so much. Yes, Mountain Diagram is on my list too. Thanks, Peter. Hope you have a good time while you're here, man. Stay healthy. I can't. I actually did see that, but that is the same day that there's a show that I bought tickets for, Metamorphose at Shimo's Kids Mosaic. So, but yeah, I did see that. Okay, other stuff. Before I go, I was just reminded. Before I go, I was just reminded of there's this one individual. He was a foreigner. I was in line going to the bar to get water, and I saw him on the side drinking a shot or two. And then during Paleneø's set, I noticed him being quite active, but as the set progressed, and he was a bit boisterous, I noticed him kind of like, he had a sort of a glaze and a lost look and sort of like a swaying going on. And then towards the end, he came around towards where I was at, and he looked like he was about to barf. So I was like, hell no, go keep walking. Keep walking that way, bro. Please do not come this way. So I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he was able to keep all the contents in his stomach inside, but not a smart idea to get hammered, like, especially if you're going to be in like the rough waves of Paleneø's like fans. Oh man, yeah. It's just so funny. I hope he's okay. I hope he didn't hurt anybody, and I hope he didn't hurt himself. But I've just, it's the first time I've seen somebody just just. All right. With that, I hope everyone stays safe. If you're gonna drink, stay safe. Don't hurt anybody, including yourself. And enjoy the rest of the week. I will see you guys again next time. Next week is just an interview. I don't have any shows planned at the moment. I don't think I will be, but we'll see. I'll let you know. I'll talk to you guys later. Please take care. Bye. Oh, that's right. MNN turns 4 years old. No, 3 years old tomorrow. And I just remember. Yeah. I don't know. Something. Happy 3 years to MNN. This is what happens. Okay, guys, I don't want to keep you longer, but I'll talk to you guys later. You can drop a congrats if you want to. I'll think of something. I'll talk to SJ and we'll get to you later. Okay? All right, guys. Bye.